$32,083 per day in revenue. That's exactly what we were able to scale this e-commerce brand right here over a period of 9 months exclusively using Google Ads. And all of this happened after they found themselves stuck, underperforming, and ready to give up on Google Ads. So if you're running a 6 or 7 figure e-commerce brand and you feel like your Google Ads account is just basically retargeting at this point or not really working at the level that it potentially could be, then this strategy is for you. But before we get into the actual nitty-gritty details of what we did, what happened, let's first take a step back to understand this brand on a deeper level. Because during the period of October 1st of 2024, which is exactly when we began working on this brand, to June 30th of 2025, this brand did roughly $22 million in revenue. This is a brand based in Australia, so these are all Australian numbers. However, the time period prior to this was not exceptional at all. In fact, this was a time period when this brand did not even know that if it could do well on any advertising platform for that matter or not, because during this time period from January 1st to September 30th of 2024, they had only done roughly $4.1 million in revenue. And although they were scaling during later portions of this time period, the ROAS was just not following and Google was not where it could potentially be. But what the entire situation of this brand prior to our entry on October 1st of 2024 was they were heavily reliant on Facebook ads traffic. Majority of this 4.1 million in revenue, about 3.5 million, had come exclusively from Facebook ads during that time because they had not cracked Google Ads prior to us working with them. And the results that they were getting from Google, a lot of it was branded traffic. So they were not really sure if Google was the right avenue of growth for them. I mean, if we go ahead and look until September 30th of 2024, we can see overall during this time period, they had done only $1.9 million in revenue at a 3.37x ROAS. On a broad level, this return on ad spend did not seem like a bad number, especially considering the fact that this brand has an average order value of $220 and the break-even return on ad spend is only a 1.5x. But things get interesting when you realize that this 3.37, first of all, tracking was not the most accurately set up during the earlier portion of 2024. And number two, about 60 to 70% of this was through branded traffic, branded search keywords, branded campaigns, so on and so forth. So in reality, only about 20 to 30% of this entire revenue of 1.9 million was exclusively cold traffic. Now, during the early portion, before we even had started working with them, they were working with a big known agency within the space that was essentially treating this brand like a number on the screen. Because in reality, a lot of these campaigns you see right here, there was no real strategy in place. The only reason why there were so many campaigns running during this time, and I mean, if we just count the total number of campaigns which were actively spending money during this time, we can see that it's roughly 28 different campaigns. So it was a lot of noise in this ad account. There was a lot of things going on, but the reality was these were all just set up and launched with artificial intelligence related tools, and there was no real strategy backing up any of these campaigns, especially what happens when you work with the big brand agencies who don't really treat you as you want to exclusively be treated. But what essentially was starting to happen during this time period was the overall Google Ads results, they were not moving in any positive direction. As you can see, it seems like the things were starting to pick up and the ROAS was starting to really go up in terms of the revenue and whatnot, but the reality was retargeting was the one that was working the most for this brand, especially since they were starting to really scale up their meta ads traffic. So they found their Google Ads following in pursuit. However, again, this was very little cold traffic. But the main goal that they had when we initially started to work with this brand was they wanted to scale to $1 million a month or more while maintaining a 3x ROAS to a 3.5x ROAS with Google Ads. That's essentially the first kind of major goal we had in mind when we began working with this brand. And the beautiful thing was that after essentially starting work with them in October, November, December, we were able to hit that 1 million mark essentially in 3 months, basically from October to December. By December, we had already crossed $1.1 million in total revenue. But this only happened because the initial setup that we implemented within this brand was very strong and it was ideal for a brand of this caliber. Now, with any brand that we start working with, what we do is we do an initial audit for that brand to understand all the potential pain points and they account all the problems, solutions, etc., which is exactly what we did for this brand. And there's a few major things we found out as we were basically unraveling all of the campaigns within this account. Number one, Google Ads was just basically getting treated as a support channel, a secondary channel to Meta ads and TikTok ads. And as a result, these campaigns were not getting optimized accordingly. There was not proper search keyword exclusions getting done, products were just running in there which should not be running, so on and so forth. And even in campaigns like performance max campaigns, there were things like the asset groups which were just blindly running at any given time with no real strategy in place. They had an asset group with a bunch of different images, they had an asset group which was feed only, but there was no real A/B testing and things were just running for the sake of running. Second thing we found was that the campaigns lacked proper product segmentation and intent targeting. Now, the great thing about this brand is that there's not a lot of major SKUs that this brand sells. If you look right here, we can see there's a lot of different internal SKUs, like 91 different SKUs that this brand is running. However, there's only 4 to 5 major products. These are all just different sizes, variations of the products, which by the way, this brand is in the home and kitchen niche. But because of that, we could really hone in on the perfect variations which were working well, and we could actually segregate out those variations which were not doing so well in their own separate strategies. But none of this was getting done with the initial audit we found when we first looked into this brand. And most important of all, the product feed was not optimized at all. Despite having only 91 different SKUs, there was very little going on with the product SKUs. The images were very, very basic. They were basically blending in with the competitors, and the titles, although they had proper SEO techniques, there was very little high perceived value inducing factors like the words premium, luxurious, heavy duty, portable. So this brand essentially was just appearing like another brand in the home and kitchen niche because of this overall approach with the product feed itself. And the worst thing of all was there was zero bid strategy, but without a real plan, without really any kind of scope of essentially knowing how they were going to scale, they were running around in circles during this time. But essentially, once we started working with this brand, the first thing we did was focus on the foundation. Now, doesn't matter what brand we work with, the number one thing we do is we like to start from the ground of the foundation up. In this situation, it was basically starting with things such as the feed itself, optimizing the product feed, making sure the conversion tracking is set up properly, and essentially starting with a full account rebuild. Now, in most situations, we don't really like to do this because that means basically destroying a lot of these old campaigns, and if they have a lot of data, that's not really the ideal approach you want to be taking. But in this situation, it was absolutely necessary because this brand was not going anywhere with this approach. So what we did is essentially we cut down those 28 different campaigns and we lowered the number of campaigns that were actually spending money. We lowered all the way down, if you can see right here, to just 14 different campaigns. It's always the first step we take, regardless of the brand which we work with, which by the way, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com, schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But essentially, reducing the number of campaigns allowed us to now be more strategic with our ad spend. We did not want to just make noise in the market. We wanted to go after the right audience, because only after reducing the total ad spend into unnecessary things could we do exactly that. But from there, it was more about working on the product feed itself and starting by improving the overall approach. Now, during this time, the CTRs, as we saw, were around 1% or so, which is exactly the main goal you want to always have, regardless of the niche or industry your brand is in. So in order to achieve this, we had to start by improving the product images, product titles, but most important of all, the Google Merchant Center. During the time we were working with this brand, they had a few sales going on, which we could directly incorporate within the brand itself in the back end through promos and whatnot. So that's exactly what we started doing. And the benefit was that we were entering during the peak season, basically Q4 of the year. So essentially what that meant was we could really introduce a lot of good sales and do a lot of different A/B testing techniques to improve the sales. As you can see, just from October to December, they did $7.7 million in revenue, which is more than what they did from January to September combined. So it was really starting to work in this situation with the overall rebuild. Now, with this campaign strategy that we implemented over here, we did not just shut off any random campaigns. There were a few specific things which we were looking at in order to understand what needed to be shut off and what needed to be continued to run. First thing we looked at is which campaigns in the last 30 to 9 days had not gotten us profitable results. Those immediately got shut off. Second, we wanted to get rid of the duplicated campaigns, meaning the campaigns with the same product as the other campaigns which had a higher spend. So for example, if this Performance Max campaign and this one right here had the same product, this second one would get shut off because this had lower ad spend in total and the ROAS was much lower, whereas this one had a much higher ROAS. Essentially, that's all we did to narrow it down to 14 audiences, and then from there, it was essentially just figuring out what the strategy should be in terms of product segregation. In this situation, we took the most common approach we always take, which is known as the TPS strategy. It stands for testing, profitability, and scaling. This means our major Performance Max campaigns at the top, they're designed to just test products. They will spend a lot of money on testing different products, different styles for the Ask the Group section, so on and so forth. Whereas the rest of these campaigns, they're mostly for either getting profitable products or scaling the good products. So essentially, the original testing campaign, that will be only there for testing until we find products which are not doing as well or which need to be further tested, because you never want to change or basically displace the product which is already doing well and take it out of its original campaign. You would rather take out the products which are not doing so well and then put them in their own campaigns, which is essentially what we did. But that brought us to the second and third phase of the overall approach, which was scaling and then allocating the budget properly. Now, in terms of scaling, it was a very simple approach we wanted to take. We did not want to overcomplicate the process, and especially as we were going from Q4 into Q1 again, which supposedly was the slowest time period for this brand. However, since we began working with this brand, there was not really that slow, because as we can see, even January, February, March, we actually ended up scaling at the same levels. We ended up hitting $1.2 million in revenue, and February and March, April was actually $1.3 million. But we had to change up a strategy a bit more during this time. And in terms of scaling, all we were doing is we were implementing vertical scaling for the campaigns, as well as a little bit of horizontal scaling. Now, with vertical scaling, what that essentially meant was we were rapidly increasing the budgets for the campaigns which were doing well by 20 to 30% every 7 to 14 days. And essentially, we were lowering the restrictions every 14 to 30 days for this brand, because again, the break-even ROAS was such a low number and we were so profitable with the majority of these campaigns. We had the ability to actually scale very aggressively because of this. So just lowering the restrictions, increasing budgets was enough to get this brand in the right pathway. But in addition to that, what we were doing is we were launching more campaigns based around what the brand needed. So one of the major campaigns we launched for horizontal scaling purposes was a YouTube campaign. Now, this was operating at a break-even ROAS itself, so it was not operating as profitably as we would have liked. But what we were focused on more for this campaign was something called view-through conversions, because what we noticed was a lot of the users who would watch the YouTube videos for this brand, they would end up on google.com, on Facebook, or on TikTok purchasing this product via other avenues. So this counted as a view-through conversion, and this YouTube campaign was generating a lot of it, which is why we continue to let it run despite the front-end ROAS of a 1.6x. But along with that, we were also starting to now introduce more campaigns, more strategies such as demand gen. If we look right here, discovery demand gen, that's what we were focusing on as well. Not the most profitable campaigns, but again, their goal is to just generate demand, not necessarily go after more and more profitable scale. But essentially, that brought us to the international markets, which is what we have been so heavily focused on within the last 30 days. Now, we are stopping work with this brand because they now want to transition everything in-house, which is what so many brands end up doing once they achieve a decent amount of scale, decent amount of results with Google Ads with an agency. But prior to this, we were also introducing a lot of international scaling campaigns like this one, going to Canada now, running at a 3.06x ROAS. And we were also testing Australia here within this overall account approach, which was not performing the best, so we decided to stick with the US and Canada as well. But essentially, from building a strong foundation to then implementing the TPS approach to then letting that gain momentum and then slowly reducing restrictions, increasing budgets and via vertical scaling, and then also introducing more campaign sets, that's kind of what got the ball rolling and generated a lot of the momentum itself. But what you want to understand is this $32,083 per day in revenue, which we have been able to scale this brand to. It did not just happen with 10 different campaigns or by creating a lot of noise in the market. Rather, it was only able to happen because the first step we did was to actually take a step back and reduce a lot of the unnecessary spend, a lot of the unnecessary clutter, which so many brands go through. I mean, this is one of the most common problems we see, where they have just so many things going on that everything is overlapping with each other. The algorithm is not able to properly focus on what it should be focusing on, and as a result, things are just a mess and it's all over the place. So we have to simplify first and then structure the account with the right TPS strategy, or you could also do product segregation based on product similarities like margins, the overall cost of goods, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter really which way you go as long as it's focused on the similarity, but then bridging the gap between all of these things with proper horizontal and vertical scaling, and then improving the back end through the inside section, through looking at the keywords via the inside section to understand what's working and what's not. All of these things, when you do together, that's when you're really able to achieve massive amounts of scale like this. I mean, on a daily basis, this brand now does no less than $20,000 to $30,000 per day in revenue. There's days where it does $70,000 to $80,000. I mean, this is like the new norm for this brand. But the key takeaways I want you to take from this video is, number one, you want to stop treating Google as a back-end tool. That's the main reason why this brand could not scale in the start and from the previous agency, because they did not really even consider this ad platform, Google Ads, as a primary source of ad platform. They always believe that Google is just going to be a secondary supporting tool for scale, because it's just not possible to scale rapidly with Google within this niche. And because of this approach that they had, they were never really able to hone in on the right structure and scale the right way. You want to also understand that structure matters a lot more than volume. You don't want to just be focusing on the number of conversions you're getting. Rather, you want to focus on the overall ad account structure, how it's laid out, what could be improved, what could be made better, so on and so forth. But in addition to that, you need to go beyond your structure and scale horizontally. The main scale we achieved for this brand, and the reason why we were able to so rapidly scale everything up, was because we introduced things such as YouTube ads. We introduced things such as demand gen. Although on the front end they were not the most profitable, they helped connect the dots and bring all of the strategy together to really scale this brand forward. And one thing you want to always keep in mind, this is kind of the last takeaway, is data plus proper segmentation plus the right creatives with YouTube campaigns, search ads, so on and so forth. When you combine all these three things, that's when you really can scale your brand to the very next level. And if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com, schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen.